Hello everyone, welcome to CLS Nest, your friendly destination to explore the fascinating world of biology. I'm glad you're here. In our previous video, we explored the cell as the fundamental structural and functional unit of life. We also got a brief overview of the fascinating world inside the cell. Now it's time to step inside and explore these structures in detail. But before we begin, let's first understand the structures that defines the cell's boundary. We'll begin with the cell wall, a remarkable structure that provides strength, protection, and support to the cell. Think of a cyclist riding through rough terrain. The helmet adds an extra layer of protection against unexpected impacts. In much the same way, many cells need an additional protective layer for strength and support. In plants, fungi, algae, and most bacteria, this job is done by the cell wall. While the cell wall serves the same basic purpose across this organism, its chemical composition differs. In plants, it's mainly made of cellulose. In fungi, it's mostly chitin. In bacteria, it's rich in peptidoglycan. Interestingly, animal cells have no cell wall at all, which is exactly what makes them more flexible and able to change shape. At a glance, the cell wall might look like a simple outer covering. But zoom in, you will find a highly organized network of biomolecules. The main player is cellulose, a polysaccharide made of long glucose chains that bundle together into microfibrils, giving the cell wall its strength. Around this microfibrils sits a matrix of hemicellulose and pectin. Hemicellulose links the fibers together, while pectin acts like a natural cement holding neighboring cells in place. In mature plant cells, lignin often gets added too, making the wall thicker and tougher, especially noticeable in xylem tissue. Now here's where it gets interesting. The plant doesn't just mix these molecules randomly. It arranges them into 3 distinct layers, and each layer leans on a different one of these molecules to do its job. First, the middle lamella, the outermost layer, sitting between adjacent cells. This is where the pectin cement we just talked about does most of its work, binding neighboring cells together. Next, the primary cell wall, thin, flexible, and built while the cell is still growing. It's loaded with cellulose microfibrils, but loosely arranged, which gives its elasticity to expand as the cell develops. And finally, once growth slows down, some cells lay down a secondary cell wall beneath the primary. This is where cellulose packs in much more densely and lignin joins the mix. So the cell wall isn't just laid by chance. Each layer is really a different recipe of the same core ingredients built in for a different job. Now just because a cell wall is rigid doesn't mean the plants are cut off from each other. There are these tiny microscopic channels called plasmodesmata that run straight through the cell wall, connecting the cytoplasm of neighboring cells. Through these channels, water, ions, signaling molecules, and metabolites can move between cells, letting them communicate and function together as one integrated tissue. So let's bring it all together. What does a cell wall actually do? It gives the cell mechanical support and helps maintain its shape. It protects the cell from physical injury and invading pathogens. It prevents the cell from taking in too much water, protecting it from busting due to osmotic pressure. And through those channels called plasmodesmata we just talked about, it enables communication between neighboring cells. So far, we have explored the cell wall, the tough outer layer that gives the cell its shape, support, and protection. But once we move past the protective wall, what lies inside? Let's step into one of the most important parts of the cell, the nucleus, often called the control center of the cell. Why is this nucleus so important? Because it houses the cell's genetic information, the instructions that tell cell what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So what exactly is genetic information? Simply put, it's a set of instructions encoded in DNA. When parents pass DNA to their offspring, the DNA carries the code for everything: eye color, blood group, height, and much more. DNA is the blueprint of life, and the nucleus is where the blueprint is kept safe. Let's look at the basics. A typical cell measures 20 to 50 micrometers, while the nucleus inside it is much smaller, just 5 to 10 micrometers. Its shape isn't fixed either. Depending on the cell type, it can be spherical, oval, elliptical, or even lobed. And here's an important distinction. Not all cells have true nucleus. In prokaryotes like bacteria, DNA floats freely in a region called the nucleoid, with no membrane around it. But in eukaryotes like animal cells, DNA is enclosed within a true membrane-bound nucleus. Now let's go inside. The nucleus is made of 5 major components: the nuclear envelope, nuclear pore complexes, nucleoplasma, chromatin, and the nucleolus. Let's explore each one in detail. First, the nuclear envelope. The outer boundary of the nucleus. It's a double membrane structure and its outer membrane is actually continuous with the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Its job is to protect the genetic material and separate it from the cytoplasma. But here's the catch. This envelope isn't completely sealed. It has gateways called nuclear pores that bring us to the nuclear pore complex. The gateway of the nucleus. These are the large protein structures that allow selective transport of molecules in and out. Proteins are imported into the nucleus while molecules like mRNA are exported out of the cytoplasma. Each pore is built from proteins called nucleoporins, which control what exactly gets in and what gets out. Next, we have the nucleoplasma, a semi-fluid, gel-like substance that fills inside of the nucleus. It acts as the medium that supports and suspends all components present within the nucleus, just as the cytoplasma supports the organelles inside the cell. Another important structure inside the nucleus is the nucleolus. It's a dense spherical region whose main job is to produce ribosomes, the cell's protein-making machinery. Once formed, these ribosomes leave the nucleus and move into the cytoplasma where they help synthesize proteins. So what are the main functions of the nucleus then? The nucleus acts as a control center of the cell by storing cell's genetic information and regulating all cellular activities. It also plays a key role in cell growth, protein synthesis, and cell division, ensuring that genetic information is accurately passed on to the new cells. We just explored the nucleus, the cell's control center, holding all the genetic information the cell needs. But that information has to be put to use somewhere, and that's exactly what we are covering next. The endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short, is a vast network of membranes that spreads throughout the cytoplasma, almost like a highway system connecting different parts of the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum is an interconnected network of flattened sacs and tiny tubes called cisternae. These membranes are continuous with the outer membrane of the nuclear envelope, allowing the nucleus and ER to work closely together. The ER exists in two forms: rough endoplasmic reticulum, or RER, and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, or SER. The RER appears rough because its surface is covered with ribosomes, the tiny protein-making machines of the cell. These ribosomes synthesize proteins that are meant to be secreted outside the cell, inserted into the cell membrane, or sent to other organelles like lysosomes. Once the proteins are made, the RER folds them into correct three-dimensional shape and performs initial modification before packaging them into transport vehicles. These vehicles then carry the proteins to Golgi apparatus for further processing. Unlike RER, the smooth ER has no ribosomes attached to its surface, giving it a smooth appearance. Its primary role is the synthesis of lipids, including phospholipids and steroids, which are essential for building cell membranes and producing certain hormones. The smooth ER also helps detoxify harmful drugs and chemicals, especially in liver cells. In addition, it stores calcium ions, particularly in muscle cells, where calcium is required for muscle contraction. So together, the endoplasmic reticulum acts as a cell's manufacturing and transport network, helping in the production of proteins and lipids and maintaining cellular balance. With this, we conclude this section of our cell organelle series. In this video, we learned about the cell wall, nucleus, and endoplasmic reticulum, and how they contribute to the structure and functioning of the cell. In the upcoming part, we will dive deeper into the cell and explore more important organelles. For more such easy and detailed biology explanation, subscribe to CLS Nest. Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of biology. See you in the next video. Thank you.